So this is Nick Williams. We're here with Sri Marty again in the London Buddhist Centre in Bethnal Green in London. And we're going to take on the big question, or the big issue, the big challenge in ways. Now I know one of the ideas of Buddhism is about non-attachment. And I know when I first came across that idea many years ago, I thought, my understanding was that all suffering came from things of the world. And then I laboured under that for a few years thinking, what, so am I supposed to withdraw from the world and not do anything? That doesn't feel right. And then I realised I'd misunderstood it, and the actual teaching was, correct me if I'm wrong, but suffering comes from attachment to things of the world, not the things of the world themselves. Is that correct?
I think you went through the same process that I went through. I came here to the London Buddhist Centre to train for ordination in the 80s and then gained ordination. I've now left the order, but I carry on with my spiritual teaching in my own right. And it was one of my favourite bugbears almost, was this misinterpretation of attachment. I was writing about it back in the 90s. And it's because it was personal, it was real, and on the one hand I wanted to really take in the Buddhist teachings and apply them, because there was so much beauty and magic and elegance and freedom in what I was learning in the meditation. But I kept butting up against this slightly kind of dry, almost like life-denying interpretation of this attachment. You know,
don't have desires,
let go of worldly things, renunciation. And so it was quite a while before I really got to the heart of it and what it means for me.
What does it mean to you?
Well, non-attachment is really, really simple. It's basically about treating things and relating to things as they truly are, not over-investing in them, not or expecting them to do something that they can't do. So that allows you to really enjoy the thing, the relationship, the beautiful home, the delicious meal, the clothes, the car, the business, the finance that comes in to support your life, and absolutely relish all of those things. Delight in them. Allow them. But don't expect that your car will never have an accident. Don't expect that your husband won't ever be grumpy. Things are as they are in themselves. Our suffering, as the Buddha called it, comes from us expecting too much from things. But I love the Blake poem, "He who kisses joy as it flies lives in eternity's sunrise." And it's that image of just kissing each joy, each part of our life, and enjoying it in its fullness.
So letting things be free, and enjoying them.
Yes.
Because do you think, my experience I think is that sometimes I certainly hold on to things for fear of losing them.
Yes.
Isn't that what we tend to do?
I think that's natural, that's what we do, we hang on to things. It's so interesting. When we really express our love, however, when we really allow ourselves to engage and really deeply love, we can actually let go better. I find that I was almost putting the brakes on my loving, and that was stopping me, A, engaging and having the experience in the first place, and B, being able to let it go. So you get caught in this sort of no man's land. Much better to just, what have you got to lose by admitting that you love something, or it makes you feel great, and it's that, I think when you really let the love flow, you can look at something for what it is, and you don't expect it to be more than it is, because somehow the wisdom comes into you, the insight comes into you, that, a beautiful sunset is a beautiful sunset, and in a minute it's going to drop down behind the sea and it's gone.
So it's letting things go.
Yes.
And how do you help people with that in business? Because business is obviously a place where people get very attached to success and not failing and things working out the way they want them to. So how do you help people in that context?
I think what happens, inevitably, if you get attached to anything like being a certain way, or it just starts to make you rigid, and you stop being creative and fluid, and there are reasons why we kind of bind ourselves to those identities or practices or habits or ways of communicating or whatever's going on in business that makes us hang on there. There are reasons that we've got into that, and if we're just a bit reflective and have a little bit of awareness about, well, why am I hanging on to that? Usually if we're hanging on, it's a sign that there's something over-invested, and if there's a sign of something inside us that needs a little bit of attention. And when we give that bit of attention, then we can let it go and move on again. Sorry.
Yeah, carry on.
Well, I was just going to say that in Thrivecraft coaching, the business coaching practice I've been running in Devon, we have this expression, which might be borrowed from somewhere, but there are sort of three modes. There's must have, can't have, and havingness. And so what we're trying to encourage is havingness, which is a state of what we were describing really about kissing the joy as it flies and not expecting more than it is. Must have is when we're over-invested in something and we're pushing and we're driving and we're grasping and it's all a bit, over-invested.
Yeah. Do you think when we're desperate to have things, we actually end up pushing them away?
I think it doesn't happen. All sorts of weird things can happen. Certainly, havingness is a state of being bold enough and self-deserving enough to identify what we really want, but also being receptive to what is. The other polarity is can't have, and that's that state of, oh, I'll never get it, oh, I'll never deserve it, oh, I'll never do it. And so no attempt is ever made. And havingness is this open, ripe receptivity, but with self-love and boldness in it. Yeah.
Well, great. I was just to finish off this with a little thought that just came to mind. I met somebody last year, and she was a Hindu actually, but she'd read the Bhagavad Gita about how not to be attached to the fruits of your labour, and that kind of idea. So about non-attachment. And she wanted to create an organisation where people were not attached to getting praise or recognition, but just contributed what they had.
Yes.
But what I realised, and I teased her about it in the end, I was quite bold. I said, you're very attached to people being unattached. She kind of looked at me and smiled and went, she was busted, because there's a paradox, we can even get attached to being unattached.
Right. Yes. That's right, and I think that's what happens when you join a creed like Buddhism or something. If anything, that's probably why in the end I needed to let go of even calling myself a Buddhist, because it's subtle. The Buddha taught this. The Buddha wasn't a Buddhist, he was just a guy who woke up
and relieve suffering.
Yeah, and the subtlest of attachment can trip you up, and it's a game. I mean, we all do it, and it's about not worrying too much and just enjoying the play.
So thank you very much, that's really interesting.
You're welcome.
Good.
Get to the juicy bits now.